You're still tuning in to News and Views with myself, Salilo Makudir. The time is 8:32 Central African time, and we're going to be switching gears now, I think, to a very, very important story coming out of Turkey, who have just dropped a somewhat diplomatic bombshell. They've slapped a full ban on Israel-linked shippings. So this essentially means that any vessel that is tied to Israel will no longer be allowed to dock in Turkish ports or use Turkish waters. It's a rare and I think a radical move in international trade, and one that underscores Turkey's vocal opposition to the ongoing genocide in Gaza, and adds, I think, a new weight to the global BDS movement. But the questions we're asking this morning is, how significant is this in real terms? How significant is it for Israel's economy? How significant is it for regional alliances and for Palestine's struggle? And to help us unpack all of this, we're joined by Dr. Halim Gençoğlu. He's a Turkish historian based at Wits University, and he'll be giving us insight into the country of Turkey and its people, and how this genocide has been viewed from their perspective, and just how important is this move in the greater scheme of things. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. Welcome to Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it for your having me here in your program.
Pleasure is all ours. I think let's just start here. Just how significant is this move by Turkey to implement that full ban on Israel-linked shipping? Is this symbolic politics, or a real game changer when it comes to solidarity with the people of Palestine, and making it clear that the stance of Turkey or Turkey is that one that I think is shared by most of the world, that there should be consequences to this Israeli genocidal regime?
Well, it is absolutely very positive attitude against Israeli policies, Israeli genocide. It's been going on for years and years in Middle East. So certainly we all, Turkish nation, view it very positively because we all support Palestine. However, this is not enough, of course. Even it is very positive attitude against Israeli attacks on Gaza. What we see this year, there are lots of similar policies actually against Israeli government at the moment. I am happy to see also once, when Turkey is doing this, Turkey is here, and other side in Spain, Ireland, or in Indonesia, they also support these actions. But what we have to do here, there are some theories here, political theories, especially they compare these kind of actions when they analyze how actually apartheid government in South Africa kind of demolished, how it's actually failed. So we also see these things. There were always kind of attitudes against South African apartheid regime at that time. So that's why these are very key actions, political actions against genociders in Israel today. So this is absolutely very important, but unfortunately not enough. We have to pursue these things, not just in Turkey or other countries, but from everywhere. So that's the one important point I think I should make.
No, most definitely. I wanna, move the conversation, I think, to a very, very important aspect because of the context, just the historical and political context of Turkey and Israel. Turkey has long balanced, I think, a delicate relationship with Israel. From military cooperation a few decades ago to the recent tensions that we're seeing unfold now. How does this ban fit into the historical trajectory of Turkey and Israeli relations? Where does it fit in the broader picture?
Yeah, this is economically, actually it's big actions. It's a big thing for Israel because they can't even stop buying Turkey now. Their ships, they can't even just pass by Turkish borders. So it's very critical for them because Turkey is the strongest country in the region, but also it has lots of important shores, harbors. So Israel used to come to Turkish harbors for economic reason, basically. Even uh, when they want to come to even Mediterranean countries, they used to stop in some Turkish harbors, but they can't do it anymore. One in Izmir, for instance, Izmir city, but they can't do it anymore. They can't come to Istanbul for exchange or to sell anything or buy anything. This is important, seriously important action. Um, Basically, President Erdogan pushing this. We have to admit this. This is his policy, and he, from the beginning of his uh, power in the government in Turkey, he always clearly declared that they are not, they don't see they don't see it as a normal relation. What actually is happening in Palestine, and Palestinians are suffering there for no reasons. Even in their own country, they became kind of second class citizens. So, as I just mentioned, so it's very quite similar with what's happened actually in South Africa once upon a time. So, this is a big action, and it will continue in this way. I hope it just get more support from other countries and stop what's happening in Israel today. Israel government is has no mercy for not just Palestinians. It's I just noticed that the Arab citizens in Israel, they didn't allow the Arab citizens to use safe place in Tel Aviv. Can you imagine? Because they are not Jewish. They are Arab citizens, basically Palestinian, but they are living in Israel side, Tel Aviv. So can you imagine this? It's unbelievable, really. This racism against, let's say, non-Jewish citizens. So even you are, you have no problem with Israeli government, but even you are not Christian, you are not Jewish, you are not. If you are Christian or Arab Christian, because there are Arab Christian in Israel also. So they don't see you really as real citizens. Can you imagine? Actually, they are the real uh, inhabitants of the region, like Dr. Professor Edward Said. Edward Said ran away from his own country for same reason. He was a Christian. He was coming from a Christian family, Christian Arab. Such a great scholar, Edward Said, became kind of immigrant in America for years and years, and he died there. So this kind of action is going to actually stop Israeli genocide. Inshallah, we say. Of course, we fight for this, but this is unbelievable. It's still is still continuing, and we are in 2025. I mean, imagine in this years we are talking about genocide. It's unbelievable.
No, most definitely, and I think it's very, very concerning, as you mentioned, and I like that the fact that you allude to the fact that it's not just Palestinians in Gaza who are bearing the brunt of this injustice and this inhumane kind of response from the Israeli genocidal regime, and yeah, I think you were alluding to when there was that war and exchange of rockets between Iran and Israel. The Palestinians or Arabs that are in Tel Aviv were not allowed to use the bunkers. When all of the Israelis were allowed to go hide underground in the bunkers, fearing the missiles
Right.
coming out of Iran. They were not allowed. They were like, the bunkers are full, stay there and just die if you have to. So I think very, very important to note. I know you touched this, or you touched on this a bit, but I'd like us to expand on it because I think it's very, very important. Just the economic consequences of this, because usually when we talk about solidarity with Palestine and maybe boycotting Israeli products or doing business with the Israeli government, we often talk about it in terms that are not reflective of the reality on the ground, especially here in South Africa, where you still have an Israeli embassy which is still functioning. You still have South African coal being shipped to Israel to essentially power this genocide. But this time around, on a practical level, this ban on Israeli ships on Turkey waters. What do you think it means for trade routes and for global shipping? Will this seriously hurt Israel economically, or are there alternative trade partners and routes that they can pivot to?
Basically, it's clearly damaging the economical situation in Israel. We can clearly say that because Israel used, as I said, Israel doesn't just. Israel used to make some trade with some Turkish companies actually until 2022. Yeah, and then those companies, the international companies in Turkey, they start to stop actually these trade between Israel and Turkey because they just realize that this is something going on, something else. I mean, it's uh, not possible to continue such a sick relation, even there are lots of money they lose, but they had to complete this. Those companies, international companies in Turkey, they find alternatives, and they don't want to use Israeli. They don't want to buy anything from Israel. They don't want to get Israeli products anymore. So they already found the alternatives in this process from 2022 to today, 2025. But government level, not allowing Israeli flags to your harbors means a lot because they, as I said, they don't just buy and sell. I mean, trade with Turkish uh, companies, even in government level. But they can't go to other places. I mean, for instance, they can't pass by Bosporus anymore
Mm,
because there is no any uh, permission for this anymore. So Turkish government, in fact, President Erdogan said in his one of his speeches very closely. He said that he wants to see when he arrives, he wants to see the end of Israel in his life. So he wants to see that when Nelson Mandela, remember, he came out and uh, from the jail and he said that now we are a nation. He gave his famous speech and he actually declared his victory. So President Erdogan said that, you know, he wants to see the Palestinian people live as human being, and they say now we got our freedom, because this is unbelievable, you know, for this, especially this century, we still talk about this, but unfortunately, it's clearly genocide is happening there. Even in my book, I published last year about Palestine, and it's Wits University supported this project. I'm very actually happy to say that, you know, a university in South Africa is supporting me to write about Palestine. Imagine
Mm,
how actually they have consciousness. It is very important. So we need people like South African people. I'm just saying it from bottom of my heart. I really love, from this point of view, I love South African consciousness. You know, they have this very seriously, because they remember what had happened to them just 40 years ago. So that's why this action in Turkish borders, you know, Israeli ships, they can't uh, come and trade around Turkish shores. It's very important, but uh, I will repeat my words. It's not enough. We have to, from Indonesia to Spain, from Mexico, you know, many countries, they, I always say this, Israel is just 9 million people live there. Israel, this fake country is there. Just that I can find you 10 more 10 uh, of this people, I mean 90 million people, they against that country. Can you imagine? I mean,
mm,
9 people are living there. For those 9 million people, I am not sure actually they are happy to live even there in under
mm,
that psychological circumstances. Uh, but million and million people, they actually against their country. Wherever you are, I travel a lot because of my academic work. Wherever you go Germany or other countries, you, whenever you open, just switch on your television or radio, they talk about Israel, what Israel did, Israel is. I mean, I'm just really, as human being, firstly, I am asking what kind of life it is. Everybody is talking about what Israel is doing in uh, Palestine, you know, and Palestinian people. We think Germany is supporting Israel. No, actually, German government, yes, they have relationship. But when I was in Germany just a few weeks ago, they asked me to talk about Palestinian, what is happening there. I criticize even German government there. They supported me. It's unbelievable. If you go to Berlin, you can't see really that. I mean, public. They they strongly support Palestinian people. I was very happy to see this, because you know, you think Europe is all about, you know, supporting Israeli government. It's not like that. That's why we need, especially in Western world, we need to get support from Western world. Uh, we also know that clearly, if America doesn't support Israel anymore, Israel cannot go this, you know, this far. So this is also, this genocide also belong to. I mean, they are sharing the guilt here, America and Israel. We clearly know this. Uh, so that's what I wanted to say. Thank
mm.
you.
No, most definitely. And I think you just briefly touched on my next question. The issue around the United States of America and the West, and just diplomacy in that regard. We know that Turkey has strong ties with NATO countries, and is also very quite dependent on them when it comes to international trade. What kind of backlash could Turkey face from the West, or global shipping authorities that are in cahoots with Israel for this move? Do you see, a point where you could have a situation that almost reflects what we're witnessing here in South Africa, where after that ICJ case, all of a sudden, our relationship with the United States of America became so sour that there were unfounded claims, lies of a white genocide happening here in South Africa.
Right.
There were lies about minorities being abused and their lands being taken, and the old code from Donald Trump. Terrible things are happening in South Africa, and we all know at the end of the day it boils down to that ICJ case and South Africa presenting Israel to the International Court of Justice, saying there's plausible evidence of a genocide here that the world needs to look at, and we have evidence for it. Could we be in a situation where Turkey faces similar backlash?
Right. Well, first of all, I just want to clarify that when Trump just was talking against South Africa, uh, and he was actually talking to President Ramaphosa, and he was lying. Clearly, he was saying to Ramaphosa, what is happening there is genocide. It's clearly a lie, because that photo was actually, the video was from another country in Africa. I think it was Ghana. So can you imagine how two-faced policy Trump can play? But I just remind dear listeners, I just want to remind them something here. When Nelson Mandela came out from the prison, he was called as terrorist by American authorities.
Mm.
So when he died in 2014, we remember it. I was in Cape Town at the university. What happened? What does the previous George Bush?
Mm-hmm.
George Bush said that, we are very sorry to hear that. Basically, Nelson Mandela was our real friend. Can you imagine what type of hypocrisy it is? This is
From
clearly
terrorist to a friend.
exactly. How it's possible? You must decide first. You are terrorist or what? So that's why we are very admiring Nelson Mandela's attitude. What he stands for is very, very important, not just for this generation, forever. Everybody is going to come, and when they read the history of South Africa, they will see what Nelson Mandela did, how he was standing for, not just for his own country, but for Libya, for Palestine, for all other oppressed people. So he showed us this attitude, this noble attitude. So that's why we can't really take serious what Trump is saying about other countries if the policy the countries are playing is against American policy. Sorry, we can't take it serious. But yes, there is backlash. You are right. There is always boycott or whatever, embargo against Turkish government. That's why Turkish currency is quite low at the moment. America also played important role here to damage the Turkish economy. But at the end of the day, as a serious country, they will take you serious. Old world is they will take you serious when they won't take America. America is, I don't know if you've been in America, but if you look at the American economy, is not actually the economy when they were. That's why they say, let's make America great again, because they know it's not the great America anymore. So Trump is actually playing with words. Trump is showing lots of arrogancy in his words. You can see it very easily. But Trump also knows America is not also well anymore. It's in trouble also. they have lots of debt to China and Japan and Southern American countries, um, like Mexico, uh, so Brazil, sorry, um, and that's why also the economic uh, institutions or organizations like BRICS are important,
Mm,
because BRICS. America is not, of course, in BRICS. BRICS is for uh, other countries, like to the African countries, India, Brazil, South Africa. So they also show they now their power against America, and America is not happy about BRICS. Especially Trump is always criticizing BRICS. Why BRICS is there? Why BRICS is not allowing this trade between? Because they know something is going wrong there.
mm,
But maybe it would be better if Turkey also enter kind of economic organization like BRICS, but not only BRICS, kind of organizations. I'm just saying, because we need to show also our power. If they say they are West, okay, we are not West. I don't know, we are East or whatever they call us, but we don't want to see the world like this. Children are still crying, and superpower, they say superpower America has. They don't care about children. Unfortunately, I even wrote it in my book, publishing last year. Uh, is America was using. I mean, America is not very far away from actually this genocide. In just 19th century, they did very similar thing to American uh, local people. I mean, Red Indian, they say. So it's actually uh, we know this. I mean, this happened in American history. Just until 1950s, they were discriminating original people in that land,
mm,
and so that's why they have in this day history. They don't have shame for this, but they will have shame when, as I just said, I mean, they will uh, contract themselves uh, when Israel demolish fail, because that country cannot survive. Even their theorists, scholars now, they are working on these kind of countries. They cannot survive if they just using illegal powers against other citizens in same region. You can't. We know what happened in South Africa. I mean, if you look at history, it's also there. So yes, there will be backlash. We are. I mean, Turkish people also know this, but it's, of course, we will sacrifice something to say or act something against what is going on there. It is genocide, and we can't accept this anymore.
mm. No, most definitely, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on air, and really, really appreciate you giving us the time this morning. Going to video for now.
Thank you. Have
There, there you go. That was Dr. Halim Gençoğlu, Turkish historian out at Wits University, helping us understand the weight of Turkey's full ban on Israel-linked shipping, a move that is as much about geopolitics as it is about solidarity. I think it shows just how the global struggle for justice has become. Spilling from the battlefields in Gaza into the shipping lanes of the world. And I think it'll be interesting to see how other countries kind of take on from here, especially here at home in South Africa. I think there's been a big debate around us really walking the talk. You know, we are so passionate, or claim to be very passionate about the cause of the Palestinian people. We were the first country to take Israel to the ICJ, a move that was lauded, it was celebrated the world over. But I think when you come to South Africa, and you know, you look, you take your microscope and you kind of look carefully and you comb through the noise. I think it's safe to say that we're not doing as much as we should and as much as it is expected of us. There's still trade happening with Israel, our coal mined by our mothers and fathers who were victims of apartheid, underground toiling, is still shipped to Israel to essentially power this genocide. There's still an embassy in Pretoria, an Israeli embassy, which is still working, is still functional, with the country that we're saying is genociding a people in their own land. So I think this move from Turkey is one that our government should take inspiration from. The people of South Africa, ourselves, should say to the government of national unity or the ANC, I think, who are heads and shoulders above everyone else, we can give them that. The fact that when it comes to the cause of the Palestinian people, they've been quite unequivocal. So I think there's more that needs to be done. And I think this move could inspire that. When we go out and protest and we shout at the top of our lungs, free Palestine, we must remember, stop sending coal. You know, we are one of the biggest exporters of coal to Israel at this moment. So it means every time they switch on their lights and they are on their computers and they power their drones to target Palestinian children, South Africa's coal that's being used. And how hypocritical is that from us? Going to take a quick break. When we come back, news and views continues.